What's going on YouTube? Canon 5D in 2020? Let's talk about it. Alright guys, my name's Garrity, and if you're new around here, think about subscribing because I like to do these photographer to photographer talks. I find a lot of the reviews nowadays on YouTube, it's literally the people just reading off of Google or B&H and kind of just reading the whole spec sheet. That stuff I feel like you guys can do on your own. I like to give real world scenarios on why you should buy this, why I personally use it, and just kind of like a real photographer to photographer talk that would actually happen in real life. So if you guys like that kind of stuff, think about subscribing because I have a lot more coming, and check out some of my other videos. So it's 2020, so why are you going to even look at this camera that's 25 years old and even think about purchasing it today? And I'm here to tell you why. Number one, the price. The price of these cameras can fluctuate, but they're all going to be used since they're 25 years old. I picked up this one specifically for $175. Now that price, again, it might be a little bit above, it might be a little bit below, but it's generally around the $175, $200 price point, which is a steal for what you get. Number two, it's a full frame body. Again, that price point of $175, $200 right there, to get a full frame in that price is pretty crazy. Yes, it's only 12 megapixels, but there's something to the film grain that these Canons give, especially this classic 5D, that I just can't replicate it. So I'm shooting on these Sonys. This is a Sony a7R III that I'm shooting on right now. So again, I have the nicer full frame mirrorless. So why would I specifically want this one? And again, it's that old film grain look. And me personally, when I'm traveling and I'm shooting and I'm walking around, I'm gonna put some samples because I was just walking around Portland, Oregon. When I'm walking around, I don't like having the gear anxiety of bumping my A7R into something or dropping it. And even when I'm going to these restaurants, because we'll stop and get food, I don't like setting my camera down and God forbid someone knocks a drink over, whatever it may be. There's always this gear anxiety that kind of follows with these expensive cameras. And I kind of wanted to eliminate that, but still have a really good quality camera. I didn't want to just use my phone. I still wanted to use and go back to my roots and use an actual DSLR. So this was the best bet because yes, if I did break this, I would be upset, but at the end of the day, $175 compared to $2,500 just for the body on these, it's a no-brainer. I would use this all day. On top of that, these things are tanks. If this thing dropped on this table, I'd be more worried about the table than I would this camera. These things are just, you can't break them. They're just so solid. Yes, a lot of them are used, so there might be some like little wear and tear on these and this and that. That's to be expected. But these things, like I said, it's kind of hard to break them compared to these mirrorless or any of these newer cameras. They just don't make them as tank as like they used to. Again, it's going to be a little bit heavier when you're walking around, but that's a price I'm willing to take because I'll just throw a strap on it, throw it over my shoulder, and the anxiety kind of goes away compared to using one of these. This is specifically just for photos. This thing does not take videos, but that's kind of the beauty of it. It gets you back to your roots, and if you're new to photography, this might be something interesting to pick it up because you can really dial in how ISO works, shutter speed works, aperture, and really get down with it. Instead of having all the new cameras really assist you, this will actually make you learn photography from the start, as I think you should, to help you get your more creative eye and understand photography as a whole more. Just keep expanding your knowledge on cameras in general and also photography in general, because even though it's getting easier now, this is still irreplaceable in knowing all how light works, how cameras work in general. So I love that for this because it brings you right back to your roots. And on top of that, you might shoot a little bit darker than you normally would because your ISO is a little too dark or a little too low or whatever it may be. And you might get cooler photos than you normally would with a camera like this, where it's kind of assisting you a lot and letting you know if things are overexposed, underexposed. I like that bare bones that it brought back, and it just doesn't get old. It just feels right. So another reason is Canon glass. Canon glass is known to be great, but also cheap. If you're on a budget and you want to stay under $500, you can pick this up, again, for $175. And let's just say you pair it with the Nifty 50, the Plastic Fantastic, which is a great lens for what the price is. So all in all, if I picked this up for $100, and this is $175, so together that's $275, maybe $300 out the door. So that's pretty crazy to get a package like this, a full frame DSLR with a 50mm 1.8 for $300 or under. That's pretty crazy. It's even in 2020. So that's why one of the reasons why this is just, you should definitely think about getting it. Even if you already have these Sony mirrorless or you have a nicer full frame, even the newer Canons, why would you want to pick this up? It's another body for you to have. The 12 megapixel film grain look that the Canon gives, even though the ISO only goes up to 1600, I'm telling you, it just can't be replicated. There's something right out of the camera, the photos, that just look right. So I want to post some of the photos that I took in Oregon. I was walking around downtown. I was only there for a day, sadly, but I took it all with this setup right here. Canon 5D Classic and this nifty 50, $100 right there. I took all the photos with this. Yes, I edited them in Lightroom, but I still want to show you what this thing is capable of, and I hope you guys like the photos too. One last thing I wanted to bring up about these is it was a downfall at first, but I'm going to show you a little trick. So these cameras, they take CF cards. Now I know you can't see that, but a CF card looks like this. I'm trying. Oh, there we go. We got focus. They're big and bulky. Big, bulky. They're not like SD cards. SD cards look like this. So they're smaller, and then here's the CF. Yeah, almost like twice the size. If you already have SD cards, the last thing you want to do is go buy a bunch of CF cards. And I don't blame you at all, because these are not cheap, and they're huge, and what's the point of buying a bunch of these just to get this? And you're like, I already have the nicer camera, Garrity, why am I going to bother? Well, Amazon sells these little converters, so you can just take your little SD card, slide it in the top there, and you got a CF card now. So the nice little converter, you don't have to buy a bunch of new CFs. You just buy this one converter and just slide in your SD cards as you go, and then you just pop it in there, and no problem, and you're good to go. So again, I picked that up off of Amazon. I'll throw that in the description if you've been looking for one of those. If you haven't even heard of that, that was crucial because I didn't want to go buy a bunch of new CF cards. So now I get to use my same SD cards that I would normally use on the Sonys. Again, reformat them when you get to the Canon. But I could just slide it in that one CF, boom, we're good to go. So again, let's sum up why we want this in 2020. The bare bones go-to. If you drop it, it's not expensive. You can pick one up for cheap. It's a full frame camera. That Canon film grain that it gives, it just looks so cinematic, even at the higher ISO of 1250 to 1600, which I know it's not that high on a Sony, but on this Canon, it's high. You'll start seeing some noise, but it doesn't affect the image. There's something to it that just looks right. It's pleasing on this Canon, and the colors right out of it, everything. It's just a really solid camera for what you can get for that price. Like, it's just crazy. All right, guys, that's it for me today. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe to me. It really goes a long way. I want to keep doing these videos. I want to keep expanding and making new things for you guys. I have a bunch of information I can always give. I've been doing this full time for a while now. So help me help you. I want to keep doing this. Again, let me know in the comments if you guys have a 5D Classic. What do you think about them? Would you use it in 2020? Do you still use it in 2020? Let me know. I'll see you guys next time, okay? Bye.